Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Have a very nice and good time, my students, and welcome to the last lesson of this unit number 7. In this lesson we will talk about listening. To be more specific, we want to speak about or talk about understanding information and instructions. So please draw your attention carefully to this lesson, my students. Let's do the first task or practice number A. Look at the pictures below. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures. Look at them carefully. Which kind of emergency do they show? Do these pictures show a shock, bleeding, or choking? Which kind of emergency do they show? I think that's so easy and you can guess the answer simply. So the pictures show what? Yes, excellent. They show choking. Bravo, my students. So they don't show shock, they don't show bleeding, they show choking. Practice number B. You're going to listen to part of a first aid course. Listen to part number 1 and answer the questions. We have 3 questions here. Number 1, what are 2 common causes of choking? 2, when is choking a serious emergency? 3, if you find someone unconscious, what are 2 signs that the person has choked? So first of all, we want to listen to part number 1 and then we can answer these 3 questions. Please listen to me carefully. Part number 1. Here we have narrator. The most common cause of choking is food. You know the feeling. You put something in your mouth and suddenly you're coughing. Usually it's not a serious emergency, but sometimes the victim can't breathe. If that happens, the victim will die unless you act quickly. Food is not the only cause. Children put toys and other small objects in their mouths, and these can cause choking too. Never allow babies and infants to play with small objects. If you find someone who is unconscious, how do you know that he has choked? Well, if you find the victim near food, then choking is a possibility. Another sign is face color. If his face is blue, if the color of his face is blue, that means that he is not breathing properly. So again, choking is possibility. Now, after reading the first part, we can come back to the questions to be answered. The first question is, what are 2 common causes of choking? So, the 2 common causes of choking are food And sometimes for children putting small objects in their mouths, so food and putting small objects in their mouths. Number 2, when is choking a serious emergency? It's a serious emergency when the victim can't breathe. If the victim can't breathe. If you find somebody unconscious, what are 2 signs that the person has choked? If there is food nearby, this is number 1, and if his or her face is blue, so that means he or she can't breathe properly. So these are 2 signs. Number C, work in pairs. Describe what the man is doing in each of the pictures. Use the words in the books. We have these words: hold, shoulders, upside down, slap, clear the throat, hand, fingers, navel, press, mouth, and finally we have unconscious. We want to describe what is happening in the pictures. So in the first one here we have the baby is sitting on the man's knees, and the man is putting his hands on the chest of this child. Number 2, in the second picture we have the man is holding the baby upside down, so the baby's head is down and the baby's feet are above his head. The man is holding the baby upside down by its feet. Number 3, the child is lying unconscious on his or her back, and the man is trying to open his or her mouth in the third picture. What about the first one? In the first picture, the child is lying face down. The child is lying face down, and the man is slapping him on the back. Now, after doing exercise number C, we can end up this part, I mean the first part of lesson number 12. Thank you very much, my students, for being patient, for listening to me, and see you in the second part of this lesson, part number 2. And finally and eventually, I want to say to everybody of you, study smart, hard, and goodbye.